There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your podcast host and life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code framework that will enable you to wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. When you're ready for more, head to marcybarker.com and we'll chat about your next goal. All right, let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful people. Okay, so I had to hop on and just make a podcast episode about this because it is extremely relevant to any of you who are listening and you want to build a business that supports you in your life. It is extremely important that you attract the right kind of people for your business, for your message, for your offer, all of that. If you put your offer in front of the wrong person, it's just not going to work out. Even if they paid you and you're not meant to work together, it's going to turn into a disaster. How do I know that? Because I've done it before, okay? But I made this post in this group and it's I don't know, semi-viral. It's kind of funny. It's picking up a lot of traction and it has not stopped all morning. And here's the big post. Are you ready for this? Drum roll. Hiring someone to nurture your audience is like hiring someone to make out with your husband. True connection cannot be outsourced. Now, your first initial response, okay? If it's like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, then you are probably my ideal client. But if you read that and you're like, no, this doesn't make sense, and you immediately discard it, then I'm probably not the person for you, because let me give you a little bit more context here, okay? So I teach my clients how to get clients to go from knowing them to paying them. And part of what I do in helping my clients learn how to attract people is you have to know who you're speaking to. So I am not working with companies that are huge global brands, okay? So I'm not talking to the companies who have thousands and thousands of employees. I'm talking to my clients are business owners who are running their businesses with a small team, and typically they're the face of the brand, or they're learning how to build a team to begin outsourcing things. Now, part of this context is I have seen so many people, so many women in businesses try to just hire out social media marketing, hire out emails, hire out creating their lead magnets. Like, they hear that they need all of this stuff, but they're not sure how to do it, so they jump on hiring somebody to do it for them instead of learning how to do it themselves. Now, again, this is applicable if you're running a business on your own or you have a very small team. If you have a large company where you have different departments, like, I'm not talking to you. Okay? So what's funny is I posted this on my own personal page and it got a great response, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to repurpose this. I'm going to change one word. I'm going to add one word actually, and then I'm going to post it in a business group, okay? Now, this business group has men and women, and mostly I'm doing it for engagement because I think it's a good conversation. Yeah, I've had a couple people message me and want to do calls with me, which is great, but I am more concerned with reaching the right people. Sometimes that means that our content gets in front of the wrong people. So there's people who are like, no, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to subscribe to it. But in a business group, it's normal for people to have these conversations and stuff. So I just want to read some of these comments and talk a little bit more about them because, number one, are you ever going to hire anybody to make out with your husband? No, of course you're not going to. So that's the first part of the statement where it's like, this is absurd. Who would even do that? But in a business, there are definitely times and places that you hire out and you outsource. So number one, it's like this post was meant to get attention. Okay. That is part of nurturing your audience, is making sure you're standing out in the crowd. Okay. A lot of people thought this was funny. But one person said, you can totally find someone to effectively help with this. Just maybe not someone half a world away who doesn't relate and is just punching a time card. So this is coming from somebody who is like, obviously they hire things out, but they maybe don't feel comfortable with somebody in another country doing it. Okay, now this comment brings up a good point. So Am I nurturing you guys through my podcast? Yes. Am I talking directly to you? No. Do I produce my own podcast? No. Do I create all the images for my own podcast? Not all the time. Okay. I have help that does that. But here's what I am not outsourcing: my experiences and how they can help you. So already this post, it needs a little bit more context. Like, I can still nurture you, but I can hire out the production of my podcast. Those are two different things. Okay. So another comment said, yes, now this makes sense. True connection really can't be outsourced. That's for sure. I'll send you a DM. Okay. So that means I reached somebody who needed to hear that, who it made sense for them and it resonated with them. Another person said, depends on the brand and the audience. 100%. I agree with that. Somebody said, define nurture and in what context? Because I'm the face of my business, but my help does a lot to help my clients feel nurtured. They aren't one-on-one with my clients, but they do support my clients still. This is perfect. This is a really good example. And I said, my statement can be taken a lot of different ways, hence the amount of laugh emojis as reactions. Nurturing is just one sense I teach my clients in knowing who you want to attract and what you intend to turn that connection into. One simple example is people who hire a social media company to market and then get no results because the company itself has never taken the time to nurture their own audience enough to know what works and what doesn't. Just like making out can lead to much more, it's wise for us to know what our nurturing can turn into if done according to our long-term goals with those connections. So the whole idea of like making out is the beginning of a lot of different things you can do with your spouse. So is nurturing. Nurturing is the beginning of a lot of different things you can do with your audience. But you can't really outsource something if you're not sure what the outcomes are or how to get there. So another person said, I understand the sentiment behind wanting to maintain genuine connections with your audience, but I respectfully disagree with the analogy used in this post. This is a long comment, you guys. Comparing hiring a brand strategist or social media manager to something as personal as marital intimacy is neither appropriate nor constructive in a business context. Okay, he's not my person. Okay, he's a brand strategist. He's worked extensively with TikTok creators behind the scenes on advisory boards, and they're constantly recommending that creators hire professionals to help nurture their brands. Okay, so before I read all this comment, this is again saying those content creators, do you think that they started hiring out the faces in their videos? Probably not, because the face in the video is what people are connected to. Can you hire somebody to go do all the back-end tech work? Totally fine. But I think that if you're wanting to maintain some level of nurturing and connection, there's got to be one thing that stays streamlined. Sometimes that thing that's streamlined is the face, it's the stories, it's the voice, or the thing that stays streamlined is the actual product that people are getting. So it is totally dependent on what you're trying to put out there.
Hey, my beautiful people. The message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's completely free. All you got to do is take this quick action. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up.
Another person said, this is funny, but I don't want to be married to my business. And I'm like, yes, of course, they are two different things. That's why it's so funny that this post got so much attention, because obviously you're not going to ever outsource making out with your husband. This comment I really liked at the end. She says, my business coach tells me that my clients don't just hire me, but they hire my standards. In that sense, I can hire others who represent my standards to nurture and serve my clients. Of course, that is a lot easier said than done, and it takes a lot of intentionality to create that kind of culture, but it can be done. I think this is a really good example of what it means to grow as a company. Even if you are the face of your brand, there's going to be parts of you that trickle down into every aspect of your business that authentically translate when you do it on purpose. So there was one other person, actually there's probably two more comments that I want to read. I want to find them. But one of them was like, Taylor Swift, she's so huge. Let me find it. I just thought it was funny because Taylor Swift, she still writes all of her own music. Even though she has a whole team to do every single part of her business, why are people so connected to Taylor Swift? Because of what she writes in her songs, because of how she's experienced things and how she desires to help other people go through what she's been through. She has even made it very clear that she writes her own music, and she even brags about not having any help doing that. Is she ever going to brag about putting on a tour with thousands and thousands of people helping in the background? No, she's not going to brag about that because she knows that that's not what really connects people to her. So I thought that was really interesting. This is a new comment that just came in. I haven't read it, so I'll read it to you guys here. As someone who does this for companies, the idea is to know and understand the brand and the brand voice. I'm never trying to step in as the owner, but rather create opportunities to have more visibility in social media. As a business owner, spinning all the plates can get overwhelming. If you could hand off a task and not have to sacrifice it in business or in your personal life, then file that into the win column. This is perfect. This is what I absolutely love, because this is somebody summing up my one-liner statement, and they're providing their own context based on their experience. Now, in the grand scheme of things, nurture messaging, me posting this one-liner, this is something that is one teeny aspect of everything I can do to help my clients. When you look at how you're nurturing people and you look at the results that you get people and you look at how you convert people authentically, there are so many different aspects you can do online, on social media, in your emails, in your podcasts. All of that stuff can help nurture your audience. But what's funny about a statement like this, hiring someone to nurture your audience is like hiring someone to make out with your husband. True connection cannot be outsourced. When people read a one-liner, guess what they do? They think, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. And then you get people in the middle who are like, let me add my 2 cents. Now, what's really interesting about having these one-liners is I teach my clients how to do this, how to come up with these things, because this is how you find your people. If I wanted to initiate connection with somebody, I am not going to go and initiate connection further with somebody who disagrees with this enough to be like, you are totally wrong, because there are some comments in here. There are some comments in here that were like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Let me pause and find those. Okay. Someone said, great conversations here. Overall, this concept makes sense, but it's not realistic in most cases. If you're suggesting a business owner is the one who should be nurturing all of the clients, that's impossible after any type of growth. And if you're suggesting someone that is hired, in-house or outsourced, can't do a good job to nurture the client, you're also flawed. Our experience is you need to hire good people and put them in a position to succeed. If your suggestion here was correct, then the high-ups at huge profitable companies would be handling the nurturing. They simply can't do it. But if you hire someone and provide them with the means to be successful in nurturing the client, you'll love the results. Those that suggest someone that is outsourced and far away can't do a good job doesn't understand the role of leadership and investing and hiring the right people, nor do they understand how it's hurting your business by limiting yourself by geography. So this one I loved. I said, love this. You turned my one-liner into a paragraph. There is a time and place for each level of nurturing and growth. Just like you wouldn't really hire out making out with your spouse, it's extremely realistic to know that you can't be everything for him. Gym buddy, hunting buddy, mechanic, mother, etc. You hit the nail on the head. Thanks for commenting. So this is really great, because when you understand how nurturing is just one piece that moves people into the next phase of results, and then into the next phase of conversion, you don't have to be doing all of that all of the time. And some people who disagree with me, they have a different kind of clientele or a different understanding that they're like, I don't want people to believe point A of this when I'm at point M, N, O, P, whatever it is. So when you are looking to nurture your audience, I want you to recognize that there has to be some groundwork that you do first in order to move your ideal client to the next step. Everybody starts with nurturing. Everybody is looking for connection in the world, and everybody's looking for good people they can attach to reach their goals. So I wanted to share that. there are still more comments coming in. Last one, depends on the brand. I get what you're saying. I've experienced it multiple times. If selling yourself as a service, outsourcing the social media isn't nearly as effective. Otherwise, I could see the benefit in social media agencies for sure. You guys, I've used social media companies. I've used online business managers to help me. And there are very clear instances where I'm like, that was great. I got great help. And then there are other times where I was like, oh, that nurturing was not exactly authentic in the way that I wanted it to be. So there is definitely a time and place for everything. But if you're listening to this and you found some ahas out of it, I want you to know, if you are running a business with the goal to make more money, nurturing always comes first. And the very best way to be good at nurturing is to do the work, practice what you preach, and then determine if the thing that's actually working, if it's time for you to outsource it and to move on, or if you just continue working those relationships until you get the desired outcome. So let me know your thoughts on this. I would be more than happy to talk you through what level of business you're at, because you're going to see stuff like this on social media all the time. It's important for you to recognize that there is a way for you to figure out everything. You don't have to do it exactly like somebody else. You don't have to go hire somebody right off the bat. You don't have to do everything alone forever. There are so many different ways to build a business that supports your life. And if I can help you do that, I'd love to help you do that. So I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants.
Thank you for listening, friends. If you got value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop a review or share this with a friend. Let's be real. Let's spread the word, because we all know someone who could use your loving kick in the pants.